Hola clase. Today we're going to review Gustar, which you should all remember from Spanish 1 is how we communicate to like something. But as you should also remember, Gustar phrases look a little different from our typical sentence structure. So we're going to review that today. Just to recap from last year, Gustar is how we communicate to like, but it literally means to be pleasing to. Gustar sentences actually read backwards. So in English, if we were to read it, it would read from right to left. Let's talk about what I mean by that. If I want to say in English, I like the house is pleasing to me. House is actually the subject of this sentence. So unlike sentences like I run, where I is the subject, in this case, whatever someone likes is the subject. So in this case, I like the house. The house is pleasing to me. So the house is the subject, which makes me the object. Alright, so when I write my sentence, if this is new to you or if you need some practice, I always suggest that people write them from right to left on their paper. So when I wrote this sentence, I first wrote la casa, and next or more than one of Gustar. One house, may. House would be reworded to the house is pleasing to me. Me gusta la casa. Alright, so we can either have one thing that we like or more than one thing that we like. So let's talk about what would happen if I changed this sentence to I like the houses. So instead of the house is pleasing to me, I'm going to reword my sentence to the houses are pleasing to me. And that's also going to change my, instead of la casa, I'm going to have las casas. Okay, so now the houses, las casas, gustan. Las, obviously we would read it. There are 6 indirect object pronouns. An indirect object pronoun, that's what may is. And that is the person who is receiving the action. Okay, so we have may and we have te that you are all very familiar with, because when you learn Gustar, you learned me gusta and te gusta. We practiced by asking people questions. Do you like this? And people would respond either no or yes I do or do not like it. There's also 4 other indirect object pronouns, and I know some of you learned these last year and practiced with them, but some of you did not. So we're going to start from the same playing field and assume that no one knows them. So the 6 indirect object pronouns, and you're going to get some notes with these in a second, but I just want to talk you through it, are me, te, le, nos, os, and les. So we use these when we want to communicate that someone is receiving an action. For example, in this sentence, I like the houses. I'm receiving the action of the house being pleasing to me, which I know sounds funny in English, but the houses are pleasing to me. So, excuse me, to figure out which indirect object pronoun, which we will refer to as IOPs, you need to use, you ask yourself the question, to whom or for whom? So, to whom is the house pleasing? The house is pleasing to me, so I use may. If the sentence was you like the house, I would say to whom is the house pleasing, and the answer is you, so it would be te, etc. I'm going to go ahead and get Miss McBrayer to pass out your Gustar notes now. Once you get those, we'll pick back up. I'll walk through them very quickly with you, and then you can do some practice. Okay, now that you have your Gustar notes, I'm going to walk through these with you. I'm not going to read them to you. I know that you can read, but I'm going to hit on some important points. A lot of this I just said, and a lot of it is reviewed from Spanish 1, but some of it, like the indirect object pronouns, will be new to some of you. So please follow along. Okay, so like I just said, gustar literally means to be pleasing to, but we say to like. We only use 2 present tense forms. Like I said, we can either only like one thing or more than one thing. So we either use the third person singular, gusta, or the third person plural, gustan. You can never ever ever have gustar without an indirect object pronoun, because someone has to be on the receiving end of this word. So if I want to say that I like shoes, someone has to like the shoes. In other words, the shoes have to be pleasing to someone. So we have to have an indirect object pronoun. Okay, the form of gustar. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make with gustar. You never conjugate it to agree with whoever likes something. You conjugate it to agree with whatever the person likes. So you never say gusto or gustas or gustamos ever. You only ever use gusta and gustan. Remember that. Okay, so if you like one thing, if the whatever it is you like is singular, like the book in our example, we use gusta. If we like books, then we use gustan. Indirect object pronouns. Okay, this is what I just talked to you about, but look at this chart with me. If you want to say that the book is pleasing to me, we use me. To you, te. To him, her, or you formal, le. To us, nos. To you all, Spain informal, os. And to them or to y'all, les. Now let's talk really quickly about lay and lace clarification. This is at the top on the back of your notes. If you look at the example, le gusta el cereal, it is impossible to tell who likes the cereal. It means to him, to her, or to you formal. But if we just write le gusta el cereal, we don't know which of those people likes the cereal. So we have to add a prepositional phrase, and the preposition we use is a, which means to, so it's easy to remember. So if we wanted to say that he likes the cereal, it would be a él le gusta el cereal. Maria likes the cereal, a Maria le gusta el cereal. You formal like the cereal, a usted le gusta el cereal. So it's a prepositional phrase to whomever, IOP, form of gustar, and then whatever it is that someone likes. It's always in that order. So the prepositional phrase comes first. Prepositional phrase, IOP, gustar, whatever it is that someone likes. We're going to talk later about emphasis. That's next in your notes. I don't want to talk about that right now. I want you to do the 5 practice sentences below. Make sure you notice that on number 4, you should have a prepositional phrase, but in this one there is not a prepositional phrase, because I just want you to practice writing the correct IOP and the correct form of gustar. Remember, you have 6 IOPs, me, te, le, nos, os, les, and they answer the question to whom or for whom. So on number 1 in your practice, you like the hamburgers. We know that you don't have to write this, but you should know in your head that really means the hamburgers are pleasing to you. So you ask yourself, to whom are the hamburgers pleasing? And you know the answer is you, so you would use te. The hamburgers is plural, so that tells you what form of gustar to use, and I'll let you do that on your own. If you have any questions about this, please, please, please let me know. This is I'm assuming that this is a review from Spanish 1. I know that if you had either Miss Alvarez or Miss Wilder last year, you learned this, but I want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So if you need any additional help, please let me know, because we're going to move quickly through this with the assumption that everyone is on the same page. I hope you have a fabulous dia. Adios.